It's college baseball conference championship week, which means Shotgun Spratling from D1 Baseball, that wonderful crew that they've got. He is a busy man. They're all over the country from east to west. Shotgun, let's talk about the Big East, which you've seen, you've zoned in on throughout the season as well. It's a pleasure to have you with us as part of our tournament coverage where we're talking about where this conference fits in nationally. Well, seventh in conference RPI. Definitely a step up for the Big East this year. And all four teams that are in the conference tournament this week at Prasco Park are in the top 63 of the RPI, highlighted by Connecticut and Xavier, both in the top 40. So Shotgun Spradling, it's great to have you, my friend. What do you make of the Big East this season?
Thank you for having me first, and apologize for my setting. I'm in the bowels of Yogi Berra Stadium at the Ivy League tournament. They're about to play their final game, so just trying to find a quiet spot. Forgive me. I'm in the training room, I believe, so I got the ice machine going here.
We appreciate the hustle. We appreciate the hustle.
Bouncing all around. Wish I was actually going to be able to make it out to the Big East, but I'm heading out to Scottsdale for the Pac-12 tournament, the final one there. I had to get the last one in, I guess. But the Big East tournament should be fascinating, because all four of these teams throughout this season have shown signs of their legit regional teams. Now, which of them can make it? UConn, the at-large hopes are there. So if you're just a Big East fan, you're hoping UConn doesn't win the tournament, actually. You're hoping that one of the other teams who's either on the bubble, the three teams right now, St. John's really hurt themselves late in the season. The last couple of weeks had an opportunity. They were sitting kind of in good position. And then Georgetown wins that final series. St. John's loses a couple of midweeks as well. They really hurt their opportunity. But all four of these teams, I've seen them all in person, and they all are capable. A ton of talent on all these rosters. So it's just who's going to play the best baseball this week. And then, I think these teams can go into a regional setting and make some noise. So, it's just going to be who can make it out of this week, be set up pretty well as far as your pitching and everything else, be healthy going into regionals, and then to go try to make some noise as a 2 or 3 seed on the road.
Shotgun, let's talk about the Connecticut Huskies, because it's not news to anybody that follows college baseball that UConn is a force. But as Jim Penders brought up to me earlier this week, this team was 10-16 at one point on the year. They were really having a tough time, but they played the 25th ranked non-conference strength of schedule. They won this 7th best RPI conference, the Big East, by 3 games with 17 wins. They won 22 of their last 27 games entering this week. And they beat UC Irvine, 6 wins against Power 5 conference teams, wins over Kansas State and Louisville, a number 37 RPI. What stands out to you the most about what Jim Penders continues to do with this program, and how do the Huskies do it in the Northeast?
It's just they're hard-nosed, they're a gritty program. They find kids that, they've done a really good job the last couple of years of finding kids from lower ranks, from Division II, Ben Huber, from Division III, going and getting Caleb Spur this year. Guys that have Division III, they actually got 2 years of COVID, so they have extra years of eligibility. They've done a good job of going and finding some pieces there. They're actually not probably as talented high end as they have been in the past. There's no Reggie Crawford on this team. There's no George Springer on this team. They don't have those first top 5 round picks on this squad, but they put it together. They really struggled early in the season. They really struggled to figure out who was going to pitch for them on the mound. Who was going to fill what slots, who's going to, take those weekend rotation spots. And, they figured that out as the process of the season has gone along. And, they reset. They had a reset after coming back from the West Coast. They went over there a couple different times. It's not just that they were on the road. They were all the way across the country multiple times this season. And they figured it out going into conference play, kind of settled down the pitching spots, who was going to pitch where, what roles everyone was going to have, and they've come on from there. Corey Morton has been really good for them all season, has just been a consistent force for them, and then Paul Tamaro at shortstop as well. And then some guys have come along that early in the season were banged up. Luke Broadhurst started the season banged up. You have Brian Padilla, who's been such a consistent force for them for 3 or 4 years now in the middle infield. He was banged up. Both those guys had hamate bone injuries early in the season. So they've gotten guys healthy, and they've really come on. And, you're seeing the potential of what they could be now later in the season. They put it all together, and they're playing their best baseball at the right time.
Let's turn to Billy O'Connor and Xavier. Now Billy's one. He's always going to find ways to schedule and challenge himself. His team, they were able to beat LSU in non-conference play. They went to Lipscomb. They took 2 or 3. They beat Louisville on the road. They did open up the season at Clemson. Weren't able to take a game. But then in conference play, you transition here. They did suffer some setbacks. Obviously, this past weekend, not what you want when you're on the bubble in losing a couple to Villanova. So at large wise, there's that. Still 38 in RPI. Still a team that, as you said, if they could win this conference tournament this week, they did it last year. They're a team that can wreak some havoc. Just your overarching thoughts on Xavier.
I mean, the fact that they've been able to get some pieces back, like they've been banged up all season long, and that's been a big issue for them. Getting Isaac Washman back in the middle of the lineup. I mean, he's got 9 homers in 99 plate appearances. Like, he's been such a big piece to add back into the lineup. And the big thing for them is just, finding pieces along the way. Finding Aiden Anderson, a guy that, was not in the mix because they had 3 veterans in the outfield. And Anderson is a veteran guy, but was not going to be a starter. But because of the injuries, he's been a big piece for them. He's been a significant contributor, 18 home runs this season. So that's been really big for them. The pitching has been the question. It's been up and down. We've seen signs, going into the season. When I talked to Billy, he was really high on the potential of Logan Schmidt, really high on the potential of Nolan Hughes. But those guys, it's been up and down a little bit. Now, Nolan Hughes, they put him in the back end of the bullpen after starting him early in the season, and he's really flourished there. I mean, he's got 62 strikeouts in 32 innings. The stuff is electric, but there's 47 walks as well. So it's just throwing strikes for him. He's been really good for them recently and really has helped them. But yeah, this weekend series, losing at home to Villanova, that's a huge heartbreaker for their RPI, but also just their resume chances. Finishing, I think it was 5 games back or something, that you're not going to get in at an large when you're 5 games back in 4th place, even though the RPI is up there. And so it's going to take for them to make a run to the tournament once again. And hey, they have experience. They have older guys that are capable of that. So, it'll be up to seeing what they can do. And can they use their experience that maybe they have a little bit more of, them and UConn, than the other 2 teams in the bracket.
Shotgun Spradling. When you look at Georgetown, this is a program that before 2022 had never had a 30-win season. Now they have 3 in a row. 3 in a row. Before 2022, not since 1984, had they even reached 29 wins. Edwin Thompson, the job that this guy has done in getting this program to be not just one that's out of the basement, but one that is competing, one that has a real shot here this week. What do you make of what he's been able to do at Georgetown?
Just a phenomenal job. One of the best coaching jobs in the country. The unfortunate thing is I don't know how long Georgetown can keep him around. Now, he's from the area. He played at Maryland, so there is that draw, and he's really done a great job of building this program. They're playing at Capital One Park. They finally have a home base rather than kind of being nomads moving around. So he's done a lot of good things. Now, will Georgetown continue to invest in the program to keep him around? Because there's going to be big-time programs coming and looking at what he has done with a program that was never a baseball program, it was a basketball, and that was pretty much it. It's all about basketball at Georgetown. He has turned this into a baseball program, and they're getting talent too. Cody Bowker, a guy that this is what's phenomenal about their development is that they lose someone like Cody Bowker, who's going to be an early round draft pick next year, who's going to be their ace this season. They lose him for half the year. And they just keep rolling. They keep finding ways to win. Just super impressed with what they've done. They've got older pieces in that lineup that have been really good. He has done it as well, has done a really good job of finding some older transfers, grad transfers. Cavi Castor coming from D3 has been really big for them. A couple guys from the Ivy League in previous years that were really big for them. So, they've been phenomenal. And what that coaching staff has done is just, you can't say enough about the job they've done collectively building that program into what it is. And now the next step is, can they take that next step in the conference tournament? They've been there a couple times now. They won a game, I believe it was last year.
Yes.
They were happy to make it 2 years ago. They won for the first time last year. Now, can they advance to at least to the championship and potentially help that RPI? Probably still too far down to be an at-large, but can you make a run and make it into the first regional? That would be a huge accomplishment for this program.
Last but not least, Mike Hampton and St. John's. We knew when Ed Blankmeyer, what was done at St. John's, that was a big move. And the fact is, the Red Storm have not been really relevant since he left the program until now. Until now, where this has been a great turnaround season for Hampton. They've been riddled by injuries in recent years, but this year, a different St. John's baseball program, one that we were more familiar of seeing in the past. Mario Pesca, Xavier Kohlhauser, Evan Chafee, they have anchored the top pitching staff ERA-wise in the Big East Conference. Your thoughts on the Johnnies being back on the radar?
The crazy thing about that pitching staff is they don't strike guys out at elite level, but they just they get weak contact, they pitch to contact, they do a really good job. They don't give free passes away. All three of those starters have gone 60 innings so far this season at least, and none of them have 50 strikeouts. So, they attack the hitters and they use their defense behind. Their defense has been really good this season. And the fact they got Xavier Kohlhauser back and we're able to get him built back up and get him back to Fridays at the front of the rotation is really big for them. He's got the big body, he's got the pro potential there, 8-2 on the season. He's their Friday guy. He's the guy they lean on. But Pesca's been really good as a Sunday guy because he's just consistent. He's got the best numbers of those guys, but he just consistently goes out and attacks hitters. Now, the question for him is keeping that pitch count down, being able to work deeper into games there. But really impressive for this team. They get that big win against Florida to open the season. You hope that they can, get a series win. Unfortunately, I guess technically they did get a series win. Unfortunately, the rest of the weekend gets rained out because it's Florida. Hey, why don't y'all come up to New York City and play some games in February? That'd be interesting. But no, they start out a little bit slow after that. The next couple of weeks, they don't do much. But then since then, they've been really, really good. And unfortunate for them, they had that downturn where the last couple of weeks where they've lost some games, losing to Fairfield in a midweek by a game, back to 2 shutout losses to Georgetown, a couple losses to Fairleigh Dickinson and Seton Hall back to back. Like those wins, you get a couple more of those, and you're talking about this team still being an at-large team. But unfortunately, with the RPI slumping down to the 60s, even though you're going to play UConn, you're going to get opportunities in the conference tournament to boost that a little bit. Probably not going to be enough. So again, another team is going to have to make that run.
Shotgun, call your shot. Who wins the Big East tournament? Opening round, UConn versus Xavier. That's interesting. You get a title game rematch from last year, which Xavier was able to take, and you get St. John's and Georgetown, who literally just met this past weekend. Who ends up winning this tournament?
I'm putting my money. I'm not putting any money on it, but my pick on D1 is going to be Georgetown because I'm hoping that it's one of the bottom 3 teams, and so the fact that the Big East will get 2 bids in. If I were picking straight up, I probably would pick UConn. They're playing the best out of any of the 4 teams, but I'm hoping that it's Georgetown or one of the 3 bottoms, so that there are multiple Big East teams that get into the NCAA tournament. And I'm hoping that it's Georgetown because of what Edwin Thompson and his staff have done to build that program. I would love to see them be rewarded just because of where that program was when they took over. And then they get COVID that hits immediately. And so they're basically the first 2 years, they're fighting so far from behind a program that is not fully funded. They're still working on that. They'll get closer in the next couple of years. They've been raising a ton of money there, but I believe they have like 6 or 7 scholarships in a sport where you're allowed 11.7. So a little bit over half funded. That is, and the fact that they're doing what they're doing has just been incredible, and getting the talent that they brought in and developed. They've done a great job of developing their talent. So I would like to see them get rewarded. So with Bowker back, I think it gives them a great opportunity to win that first game. And it's so important in a 4-team tournament in a regional type setting like that, is to win your first 2 games and be in the winner's bracket so that you have the advantage of saving pitching while other teams are using all their arms to try to get to the championship.
Christian Ficca, Owen Carpellotti, Jay Kide, and then on the mound, Bowker and Andrew Williams, Everett Catlett. What a story that would be out of DC if the Georgetown Hoyas, you said it, first they made it, second they won a game. Now do they make the run? The progression would say, yeah, maybe that's very possible. Shotgun Spratling, you can read him. You can check him out at D1 Baseball. He is so good and so thorough that he took the time by an ice machine to spend some time with us to talk some Big East baseball. Shotgun, love following your work. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy the Ivy League title game.
Thank you very much for having me.